Well, folks, there is no better way to close out the year than with hockey, and the Calgary Flames will welcome 2025 in a playoff position. They leapfrog the division rival Vancouver Canucks, a battered, messy squad right now, with a 3-1 win at the Saddle Dome on New Year's Eve. I'm Cami. He's Mike. Thanks for tuning in to Barn Burner Afterburner Live or getting caught up later. We're just thankful you listen to us anytime. Really, a shout out to our friends at Bet365. You can sign up with code NATION to get in on a whole world of markets out there. And before we get the show started, we want to shout out our Super Chat charity partner this season, Youth Centers of Calgary. You want to make sure your question or comment gets into the show. You can hit us with the Super Chat, and the proceeds will support Youth Centers of Calgary, a place where our kids are welcome and accepted as they are, a place where they get to have a break from the chronic stress that is the reality of many of their lives right now. So that's a good way to get your comment pinned. We'll read it right away. Share your resolutions in the chat. We also teased this on Twitter/X. You sauce us enough money. We might flip that camera around to the big space here, and in the spirit of all the fights we saw tonight, Mike and I will have a tilt.
Yes. Cami, I think, is the decisive favorite. Going into that, I am maybe 160 pounds soaking wet, and I have a very high center of gravity. I'm very easy to lift off my feet. But even then, Cami, yeah, you are.
We know where our talents lie. You can sing show tunes.
That's right.
As you demonstrated at the drinking show.
Freelingslied.
What did not make it on camera at the drinking show was me telling Mike that I actually used to compete in judo. And I showed him a move where I flipped him up onto my shoulders.
I have never competed in judo. It's really just not my thing. And I played hockey growing up. I was always sort of the little 4'8", second line winger, just sort of trying to avoid guys on the boards. It was never really my thing to play physically. Cami's got me beat. So yeah, put a $50 super chat and she'll show me how it's done.
If this sweetens the pot, I also had anger issues growing up. Saw a lot of that tonight. It was a bit of a spicy matchup.
I would say so. They were having a bit of fireball in their pregame New Year's festivities, I would say. Holy moly. I mean, when was the last time we saw, I know you were digging some of this stuff up. When was the last time we saw a player with 2 fights for the Flames in one game? I mean, Ryan Lomberg, I thought was effective, away from all the fisticuffs tonight. But when it came down to it, he really got into it. He kicked things off. He was in that first fight with Eric Brandstrom, which we'll talk about it later. Eric Brandstrom should have been kicked out of the game because his jersey wasn't tied down. But yeah, he kind of set the tone, and then it just kept escalating from there. And I think John Abbott said it on the broadcast. I think it was the loudest the Saddle Dome got all year. And part of that's going to be the New Year's Eve. Things are starting to flow. The team's playing well.
A touch raucous.
I would say so.
Things are there's always a little extra punch when you get these teams together. All right, that worked on 2 levels. But off the top of my head, the first one that I immediately thought of was from, I think it was 2016, Evander Kane and Alex Petrovic.
Ooh.
They went 3 times in one game. And I believe prior to that, the last time we saw a player with 3 fights in one game, it was Bob Probert and Jody Shelley in 2002. That is some company for Ryan Lomberg to be there. And this is a guy who has just brought so much energy and pizzazz to the Flames. Even if we haven't seen it make so much of an impact on the score sheet, it's just consistently gotten the fans riled up.
That's like a late period Probert. That's like right at the tail end Probert. I don't even think he would have been in Detroit anymore, Probert. Wow, that's quite some company. Yeah, Lomberg, the thing that separates him from a lot of the guys who, were throwing the fists in the 90s is he can play a little bit. Like there's a bit of a disparity there. And when teen season, I forget who he got into a fight with. Versteeg was never one to shy away from that sort of thing. And he ends up doing the Lady Liberty thing on the way out because they correctly made the call. He got kicked out. I don't know. I think that was a missed call. But in any event, at Lomberg, how can you not love it? We'll get to some of the other stuff with him later in the show, but just such a wonderful presence to be on the team, from singing the anthems to singing some other stuff, getting in the guts of the game. There's some guys on the Flames right now who aren't getting to the guts of the game, and Lomberg is always there.
And before we get to the guts of the game, we're actually going to this ties in. It's also quite touching. The Alberta Blue Cross meaningful moment of the week is a presentation of Alberta Blue Cross. It was a milestone night for a couple of guys. We're going to start with the first goal of the evening, Connor Zary in his 100th NHL debut back on November 1st, 2023, a 4-3 loss to the Dallas Stars. So that is no joke, scoring on Jake Ottinger. I believe we have that goal queued up as well, if we can take a look at it.
Oh, the Rick Ball days.
I miss hearing his voice all the time. John's done a great job as well, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can see.
Yeah. Gosh, doesn't that just show you how much he would come to mean to this team? 100 games already. But 2 days after that, one Martin Pospisil suited up for his first NHL game and also scored, not just in his first game, on his first shift, on his first shot.
Yeah, and then he ends up getting an assist tonight as well on the go-ahead goal by Nazem Kadri in the third period. And just kind of serendipitous that those two, who kind of defined last season in terms of representing the start of the youth movement, it was something that, under the previous regime, they had been hesitant to do. And then it kind of all lined up where those two ended up sort of being called into action at about the same time. And, they've both missed some time along the way. They end up both playing in game 100 on the same night. They both end up contributing on the score sheet. It's really nice to see. And Marty, I don't think Marty's gotten enough credit for how well he has quieted things down a little bit around him, while still being a very effective agitator. Because at the start of the year, I think he was becoming a bit of a distraction, just some of the things that he was doing. And I think he has found a way to regain what he was doing last year on that line with Huberdeau. I don't think Huberdeau and Kadri would be playing as well as they are right now without number 76 on that line.
They've both been huge, and we have to remember they came into the lineup in a season that really didn't have a lot of positives.
No.
This was not very long after the outdoor game in Edmonton that just felt like everything was awful. We felt that Matt Coronato got set down just so he wouldn't be around such a dull, dead atmosphere in an NHL dressing room. And it's amazing that they were able to come out of that season feeling like a positive. It's amazing that Pospisil has played 100 games with the concerns that people had about his concussions, and they brought a hell of a lot of energy and creativity to this team. So here's to 100 more games, hopefully more, definitely more.
I think he'll have more.
Yeah, I'm not going to say 1,000, but many more to come. So congratulations to Connor Zary, Martin Pospisil, points in their 100th NHL games. That is the Alberta Blue Cross meaningful moment of the week. So if you're planning a trip, make sure you remember to pack travel insurance from Alberta Blue Cross. When you've got Canada's most trusted travel insurance in your back pocket, you can focus on making the right kind of memories while you're away. You can visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel for more information. You brought it up. Let's take a look at that Nazem Kadri game-winning goal.
It was a beauty. I mean, what can you say? Jonathan Huberdeau, we were watching it as it happened, and I said, shoot it, Johnny. And he found the seam. And it was a seam that Huberdeau has not often found in his first couple seasons with the Flames. He found it this time. I think we've got the clip. It was just perfectly placed to Kadri, who just sort of slams it by Kevin Lankton. And we need to talk about Jonathan Huberdeau, because I posted it on Twitter right after the game. I want to see this version of Jonathan Huberdeau playing in the playoffs, because I just think, I mean, we heard him say it. This is the best version of himself that he thinks he has been in the NHL, even including that 115-point season. I mean, right now, he's just dominant. He reminds me a little bit of Matthew Tkachuk, even a little bit, with the way that he's throwing his body.
I wouldn't go that far.
I wouldn't go that far, but
far.
He is just the way that he is commanding himself. I mean, with Huberdeau in his first couple seasons here, he looked a lot to me like Yegor Sharangovich does right now. And I love Yegor Sharangovich, but just not in the guts of the game at all. Right now, Huberdeau is thriving in that, paint area. And he's also being able to do what he does best, which is, pass the puck and make those difficult passes that he makes look easy. And those were passes that he hadn't made look very easy in his first 2 seasons. So when he is getting into areas of the game where he isn't, normally where he hasn't been with Calgary, somehow it's also allowing what he was good at in Florida to come back as well. And so it's been just incredible to watch. I mean, this last streak of him, I would say, honestly, since Pelche got called up, has been, one of the best stretches I've seen a Flames player have. I'm not even going to qualify that. It's been really, really impressive.
Yeah, as Kelly Rudy said a couple days ago, pardon me, he's turned into a bit of a power forward. Very exciting to see with his 16th goal of the season. Like you mentioned, this is now his highest scoring season as a Calgary Flame, which is just shocking to think about. And now his 3rd season starting to turn it up, especially when we looked at his projections. I think mid-November, he was actually on pace at one point to have his worst season as a Flame. And that just goes to show how much of a turnaround December has been for him.
Well, he started well. He had that 4-point game in like the first week of the year, and then he went really cold, and people were like, okay, same old Huberdeau, it's just going to be what we've come to expect. And I really loved on the empty net goal. He tried to start the play twice to Kadri and Pospisil, and they kept trying to force passes. And those are exactly the kinds of passes that you would expect to see Huberdeau himself making in previous years. He gets the puck again at center, and he's just like, okay, screw it. You guys, just get out of here. I'm going to shoot it myself, puts it dead center. And that sort of confidence, I mean, again, he's not Matthew Tkachuk, and he's never going to be Matthew Tkachuk. But just he's adding Tkachuk-ish traits to his game. And, I am so excited to see what this player can continue to do because it's always been such a tantalizing prospect. Oh, this guy is, he has the playmaking chops. He has the ability to be a guy who can get you 70 assists in a season when he's at his very, very best. But he also has that frame to go along with it. He's 6'2", 6'3". He's got some bulk, and it just never really coalesced. He never looked confident. He never looked like he had that spark. And right now he looks like he's got a spark. Right now he's their best player. I don't think it's a question.
If he keeps playing like this, he might make John in the chat cry a little bit, which is tough.
Oh,
Shout out to, we have a taker in the super chat. Mitchell Green, thank you so much for supporting. Says, my money is on Cami. Good call. Don't mess up her pretty face, Gould. Thank you.
I would never.
All kidding aside, if I was Carter George McKenna, I'd be pissed. They left home 5 best players. We will be getting to some World Junior chat in a little bit here. We have some positives to get through first. Actually, I was going to flip to something not so positive. We just talked about Jonathan Huberdeau having a stellar December to really reinvigorate his game. Yegor Sharangovich has had the opposite. He has had a 2-point December. His extension has not kicked in yet.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunities have been few and far between sometimes, it seems. We look at his stat line tonight. Actually, pardon me, he did get the
primary
point.
assist.
Yeah, he got the primary assist. So he got his 3rd point of December, 15 minutes of play, 20 shifts, 2 shots, 1 block. What did you see from him tonight? And do you think it hints at him turning things around?
I don't know if I know about that. I don't know about that just yet, but I liked the play on the Pelche-Zary connection goal where, he gets into the fabric of the game. He makes that poke little pass over to Zary. He follows up on it. It just isn't something that he has done very much over the first half of the season. I think I don't know if he's back to 100%. He doesn't look it to me at all. I think he
has not looked the same since coming back from that injury that caused him to miss the start of the season.
And I just every time we talk about Sharangovich on the show, I talk about Jacob Pelche because it's the exact same type of thing that I saw from Pelche last year, where he starts the season hurt, comes back, misses a little bit more time than Sharangovich did, but never looked the same that season. Even in the American League when he was scoring, at a decent clip, he was not involved in the fabric of the game. And with Yegor having his leg sort of fall awkwardly in the preseason, a preseason where I thought he actually looked pretty good, and then comes back, misses time. And to me, just doesn't look confident. And that can be the biggest thing. We have not seen him really use that shot of his, which is, which that's his calling card. He needs to be able to shoot the puck on a consistent basis. Right now, he's just not touching the puck. So I personally am not that worried about it. I would give him, from my standpoint, they have incentive to get him going because they have this big commitment to him. That's why he has such a long leash, because they know that they need to get this player going. Now, at the same time, tonight, that line was friggin' dominant. With Sharangovich, Zary, and Pelche on the ice, the Flames outchanced the Canucks at 5-on-5, 12-0. And the on-ice expected goals percentage for that trio was 96.85%. So, it's something where I don't know if that's necessarily Sharangovich driving that. I thought, he had a couple plays where I thought he made, a couple poor reads with the puck. He had a couple good chances, but to me, that's mostly Zary who's been driving that trio so far. And Pelche has been up and down, I think, a little bit. He had a really poor game, I thought, last game. I thought he was pretty good tonight. And then Sharangovich, I just sort of look at it as gravy, because the rest of the top 9, I think, is doing pretty well. And if they can get that guy back to what he was, or even 90% of what he looked like last year, when he looked like a legit top 6 difference maker, you're going to be laughing.
Yeah, we got a quick question from our tall glass of milk in the chat. What was his injury? Yeah. It was a lower body injury in one of the early games against Winnipeg. Jets player fell down on his leg, exited from there. Lower body. It took him a little while to get back, but.
Well, and to me, it looks like he's a little bit hesitant to get back into the dirty areas. And, if I was coming off an injury like that, I would probably be, feeling a little similar. It can be a real process to come back from something like that. It reminds me a little bit of what Brock Besser went through a couple of years with the Canucks, where he had a real tough time getting back after missing a lot of time with the Canucks, and his underlying numbers were just terrible with the Canucks for a period of probably about 100 games there. And it really took him some time. So with Sharangovich, again, they have the impetus, and there's somebody in the chat saying trade him. Nobody's going to take that contract as it stands right now. He has far more value to Calgary than he does to anybody else. Trade Kuzmenko by all means, but they're not going to trade.
That's a pretty cheap gamble to take, honestly.
Yeah, but for Sharangovich, it's not. This is a player who the Flames are counting on figuring it out here. And my money, for a player like Sharangovich, who scored at such a impressive rate, not just last year, but even in his first 2 seasons in New Jersey, this isn't a guy who just arrived in Calgary and started doing this, out of the blue. There were people who, when the Flames traded to Foley for him, they didn't really know who he was. But the year before that deal, he scored 24 goals. I mean, this is a guy who has this track record. I would give him more than what we've seen, because I just don't think it's indicative of the quality of the player. He's 26. He'll be fine. That's how I feel.
Another fighter tonight. I was just thinking of a player that people didn't know so well when they came to Calgary. Kevin Ball.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Looks good. He looks good. I think he'll be rewarded with a pretty handsome contract at some point here. I think, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I could totally see Conroy and the gang saying, okay, Kevin, we like what you've done. We think you're really solid. We think you can be a 3-4 type guy. We'll give you, 5 years, $4.5 million, see what you like. I don't know. I'm not the GM, but just seems like something that would make sense. He's been everything that they've wanted him more in that second pairing role.
Yeah, he was great tonight. Yeah, shot, block, hit, just about 23 minutes of ice time. This has been the most meaningful minutes he's played in his career, and I think he's really risen to the occasion. Of course, we can't really dance around this. It's a very different Canucks squad from what the Flames have seen in 2 prior meetings. Granted, it's also a very different Calgary team, because when you look at the 2 prior games, who were some of the goal scorers? Anthony Mantha, Justin Kirkland. Heal up, fellas. Heal up. But they don't have Elias Pettersson.
Mm-hmm.
They do not have Quinn Hughes, who is the heart and soul, the driver of this team, one of the best defensemen in the NHL, should be a Hart contender. I wonder just what things are going to look like for Vancouver going forward, because honestly, after the Vegas game, I was like, you know what? Next week is the halfway point of the season. I'm ready to say that I don't think the Flames will be a playoff team. But now you have this win against Vancouver,
and they're in the
you
playoffs.
Have a bunch of divisional games. They're in the playoffs now. But are the Canucks going to continue trending down to open that door for Calgary?
Well, I know Patrick Allvin isn't happy because I read that piece on Sportsnet where he talked to Ian McIntyre, and some of those replies were quite pointed, especially coming from a guy in Allvin who, NHL GMs never say anything in interviews, and he is sort of the poster child for that. So for him to come out and be as direct as he was about how Pettersson hasn't been good enough, Miller hasn't been good enough, Tocchet has things he needs to work on. It was quite scathing, and I think if you're the Canucks right now, you're really happy with Quinn Hughes. I mean, he is for my money, I kind of like him over Makar right now, and I liked him over Makar last year too. I'm a huge fan of that player. And if, Zane Parekh becomes even 75% of what he is, you're laughing. But at the same time, everybody else on that team, save for maybe, Kiefer Sherwood and Jake DeBrusk, there's kind of, going to be a spotlight on you at some point because the Canucks just have not been to the same standard. And, there's going to be talk about Pettersson for the rest of the season. Because
should also mention that Philip Hronek is also on long-term IR until at least early February.
Yeah. So, they're going to be talking about Pettersson because his no move clause kicks in after this year. And, the Canucks were already sort of rumored to be looking at exploring the market for him before they signed him last year. So I don't know. I mean, from my standpoint, that's a player who I'd love Calgary to get their hands on. But at the same time, it's, if it's not working in Vancouver, then, is it going to be any better here? I don't know. So I don't necessarily envy them, even though I would love to have Quinn Hughes on my team. It's a real predicament over there.
Oh my God, who wouldn't take Quinn Hughes?
I would love Quinn Hughes.
No one, literally no one would say no to Quinn Hughes.
Except for the Detroit Red Wings at the 2017 NHL draft.
And we're just going to leave that one there.
Philip Zadina. Ooh.
He was sick in junior with the Halifax Mooseheads. Didn't
work.
I'll give him that.
It's true.
There was one thing we saw tonight that could have been nasty, wasn't. Pia Suter down on the ice as he was getting up, made a little bit of a kicking motion. Some could argue towards, I believe it was Mackenzie.
I think it was maybe Joel Hanley, actually.
No, it's pardon me. Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of an Easton Cowan leg kick there. Nobody watching the World Juniors will get that one. No, it was not pretty. That could have done some serious. I mean, everybody's going to be a little bit. I don't think anybody's forgotten what happened in the British League last year, and so and it was
still in the court system
around this time of year too. It's you don't want to see that. So I would imagine the NHL. Well, I would be surprised if they didn't want to make an example of that sort of thing. It's pretty dangerous.
At least a caution.
Yeah. I think at least a fine at the very least. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see about that. Do we want to get to the road ahead first, or do we want to dig into World Juniors and come back to that? Take your pick.
Let's talk about the road ahead first, and let's save that. Let's put a pin in that because I think let's just get through this.
Yeah. All right. Let's pull up that beautiful graphic there. Couple more at home on Thursday. Your boys are here, Mike. Utah Hockey Club. The Warriors themselves rolling into the Saddle Dome for the first time on the 2nd. Not going so great for them tonight, last time I checked.
I believe they've now lost 5 in a row. Yeah. Everybody who imagined they would get out of Arizona and miraculously turn into a good team overnight. I'm afraid not, but there are some players who I love the players on that team by all means, but unfortunately, I think Utah is going to be stuck in purgatory for a little while here.
Is Jack McBain one of them? Because he got Utah's only goal in a 4-1 loss to Edmonton tonight.
He's been good. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I think Bill Armstrong has done a great job, going back to the Arizona days of identifying players who, made sense to fit that identity. I question some of the moves they've made since the relocation, and I just don't quite know if the pieces they have are going to be enough to get them over the hump, but we'll see. Yeah,
they have Dylan Guenther.
I like him.
Actually,
love him.
Fun fact about Dylan Guenther: Gavin Hodnett, the current captain of the Edmonton Oil Kings, and Joe Aginla are the only 3 Edmonton Oil Kings players to score a hat trick at 16 years old.
Yeah, Joe Aginla just did that.
He's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, very, I think still working his way into the dub, sort of limited minutes with the Oil Kings, but wow, that was quite the statement the other night.
And they're in a tough division. They've had some good wins coming out of the break. We'll see. They've got some interesting stuff coming up. But on the road ahead, after that, we have one more home game. It's the Nashville Predators. Calgary thanks them for
Mark Jankowski team.
Oh, yep.
He's still there.
Yep. But of course, Calgary snapped that awful road losing skid against the Predators. Calgary has been very good at home. They're looking to continue that. Nashville hasn't been. No, it's still bad.
Yeah, it's still bad.
It's still bad. Yeah, 3-game losing streak for them right now.
Oof.
7-4 to the Blues, shut out by the Jets. That's a very good team. And then losing 5-3 to the Minnesota Wild. But that was on the back-to-back, and those are two very good teams. You can see they're getting some more goals as of late, so you certainly don't want to write them off, but they will also be playing Calgary on the second half of a back-to-back on the road, playing in Vancouver on Friday. So maybe you take the over on that one for Calgary. Mini road trip after that. Calgary has their back-to-back. They have the Anaheim Ducks. And if you want to check out that one, we will be live at Richmond's Pub
for that one. Gotta get back there.
The wings are so good. But if you haven't been yet, Richmond's Pub, home away from home for Afterburner. They've got Barn Burner Blonde from Origin Brewing all day. Special low price, great food, daily specials. I think it's 22 TVs everywhere. So They got it all for game day. But yeah, we'll be back there on January 7th for the Ducks game. 3919 Richmond Road in the heart of Glamorgan. Check that out. We'll wrap it up with the road ahead. On the road against the Kings, they're second in the Pacific right now. And then we'll welcome them right back to the Dome for a home game on the 11th.
Cam Talbot and crew. That's going to be an interesting one too, because the Kings have been starting to pick up the pace a little bit. I think Quinton Byfield is starting to sort of get into a groove after a really slow start to the year. So yeah, this Pacific is so interesting. I mean, a lot of teams just sort of in the mushy middle, I would describe it as, the Flames and the Canucks being sort of the two poster children, but the Oilers really aren't that far ahead. I mean, they've been hot of late, but still just 4 points up. The Kings also just 4 points up. Vegas, I think, is going to run away with first, but yeah, you said it, Cami. It's going to be a really interesting game. That Nashville game, though, after spending all that money, 38 games played, they have lost 27 of them. Ooh. They are tied for last in the league in wins with 11.
You know what they need to do?
Some hockey talk.
Call up the pride and joy of Creston, BC, Jake Livingstone.
Yeah, there you go.
What are you doing? What are you waiting for?
Do it.
Bring him back up.
I know Zachary Leroux, I think, slew-footed Jared Spurgeon tonight.
He was in a mix of a lot of things when Calgary played them as well.
Quebecois Marty Pospisil, Zachary Leroux. Pretty good player, actually, but just a little bit on the wrong side of the line.
But obviously, some very big opportunities ahead here for Calgary. They're now in the second wild card position with a .581 win percentage, 2 points back of Dallas. Of course, Dallas has a game in hand. They are 4 points behind the Oilers. So again, this stuff isn't unattainable. You just have to be able to take advantage of the opportunities before you, which is something that Calgary has struggled to do at times, but you can never guess what they're going to do next. We'll say that.
I mean, at least they don't have a outdoor game coming up against their biggest rival that they can embarrass themselves in to sort of derail their season, like happened today happened last year with them. And can you imagine? I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks, talk about the out-of-town scoreboard.
Frankly, I think the most embarrassing thing for those teams was that they were such lame walk-in outfits.
And the jerseys were pretty bad too.
I liked the jerseys.
I didn't like the St. Louis ones. I thought they were
bad. Loved the St. Louis ones. What are you on about?
I don't like, as a rule, you can find many examples of me over the years. I don't like off-white uniforms. I've never liked them.
I don't like white uniforms.
Well, there you go. Difference of opinion. That's something worth fighting about. There you go.
All right, we're not going to agree on that one anytime soon. One thing that we could see coming from a mile away tonight, maybe after at least the first period, death, taxes, Canada taking far too many penalties. 11 penalties tonight.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. That's a 4-1 loss to the United States.
It wasn't good.
It was not great.
We
Weirdly enough, they still haven't allowed a goal at even strength.
Yeah. Carter George has been really good.
He's been great. Carter George has been really fantastic. Shutouts in his first 2 games against Finland, against Germany. He allows 3 power play goals against the States, and they get an empty netter.
I see what Canada has been trying to do, and you and I have discussed this. I mean, before the tournament, they try to bring a team that looks like an NHL team and sort of win that way. And my main concern always was not enough scoring. But what I did not anticipate was the lack of discipline. I'd never sort of anticipated them having this much trouble staying out of the box. I mean, that was supposedly the reasoning for not bringing Zane Parekh, was that he was a bit too much of a loose cannon. He was going to get them in trouble. And now they're getting themselves in trouble even without him, but also without his scoring ability. So it's kind of like they've handcuffed themselves. And it's been really difficult to watch. I mean,
it's a shame because they were so in that game and had so many fantastic opportunities. And you look at it now, they've still allowed the fewest goals against at this tournament, but
they can't score.
They can't score. They have the same amount of goals as Switzerland, but there are 5 teams with as many or more goals than them. US has 22 to their 10. And granted, I don't think a lot of us really enjoy watching, you go back a few years ago and there would be like the 11-1 blowout. Like once it got into double digits, it's like, yeah, this isn't a fun game to watch. It's not telling us very much about this team, but you expect more from them. Actually, Berkeley Catton has been a big highlight for me. I really like that line with Gavin McKenna. They've been creating, not rewarded for it. Braden Yeager got player of the game for Canada today, but they will finish 3rd in Group A. Finland leapfrogged them with a win over Latvia earlier today. Heck yeah, Latvia.
Love you, Latvia.
Into the quarterfinals. Yeah, where's Teddy Bluegers tonight? I hope he's at least celebrating.
Martins Zirkles. Rudy Balsers.
Yeah.
Get all those. Who else? Yeah. Elvis Merzlikins. I heard that you took them out to dinner after their win over Canada.
Yeah, that's lovely.
That was really cool.
Actually, the head coach for Latvia, his son, Rodrigo Abels, played with Daniil Miramanov for the Ekity Bathurst Titans.
A team that is not going to exist anymore.
I don't know what they're going to do about the name of that league because
the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League.
Newfoundland is not in the Maritimes.
There we go. Well,
they're Atlantic Canada. It is not the Maritimes. It is not the same thing.
It's already 2025 there. Maybe they'll come up with a name next year. I don't know.
The QMAC. Actually, kind of like that, the QMAC. But anyway, Canada finishes 3rd in Group A. So this is how quarterfinals are going to look. USA is taking on Switzerland. Sweden will play Latvia, Finland, Slovakia, and Canada against a team that they have had a lot of very tight, very fun, very nervy matches in recent years. They're going to play Czechia in the quarterfinals on January 2nd. So
the team that eliminated them last year.
Do you want to remind them about that? Yeah, granted, there aren't very many returning players.
No.
But you could hope that this would be a galvanizing moment for them. I saw Gavin McKenna was speaking after the game tonight, and he believed that Canada dominated the U.S. at 5-on-5. We didn't see a lot of 5-on-5, but they did have some good looks there. So we'll see if that is the moment that turned things around for them.
I'm really curious. I mean, I know you were talking about Andrew Cristall being the guy who you most wanted to see, who was left off the team. It's just, I mean, if they can, I don't think it's at all off the table for them to find a way to overcome this and go on a crazy run. And it's sort of what Canada has historically done. But then again, in the past, Canada has had close shaves against teams like Latvia, and they've always found that last goal. This year they didn't. I mean, that's the thing. This World Juniors from a pure entertainment standpoint has been incredible. We've seen some amazing close games. You were saying there's been no blowouts. And as a result, we've seen Latvia take these teams down. We've seen Kazakhstan score back-to-back shorthanded goals to force overtime. It's been an amazing experience from a viewer standpoint. I will never forget watching the Latvia game in Swiss Chalet. Not a sponsor, but Swiss Chalet. I was out for a dinner with my parents. And that will be like etched in my mind as a where were you moment from this World Juniors. I was at Swiss Chalet. That was an incredible game, a game that we would never have seen. but it's kind of self-inflicted by this Canada team because it just feels like, I mean, obviously some of it comes down to their best players are so good that they're not available to them. Connor Bedard is too good. Max Celebrini is too good. Zach Benson is too good. But at the same time, you're just asking for yourselves to be questioned when you leave that much.
I couldn't even get Pike to fluff up Celebrini that much when he was on the other night after
He's
the
awesome.
San Jose game.
He's awesome. He's my favorite player in the
fun.
league. He is my favorite player in the league right now, Celebrini. I love watching that player.
Oh,
he's
that
amazing.
is a hot take.
He reminds me of Crosby. I keep saying it. He's so much fun. But yeah, I mean, they kind of shot themselves in the foot, and they opened themselves up to all of this. And I mean, you can go down the list. I'd love to see Carter Yakimchuk. I'd love to see Andrew Cristall. I'd love to see Zayden Parekh. And if they don't get out of the corners like they didn't last year, they're just going to open themselves up to it.
I will be satisfied with a penalty-free game.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway, they will be back playing Czechia. It's 5:30 Mountain on January 2nd. So they all have the day off. And that's Axel Hurtig, Flames prospect, taking on Latvia. He's had a good tournament, not eaten the most minutes for that team, but hey, you also don't really expect him to. He's still got like a trio of assists or something like that. So that one will be at noon on January 2nd. We're going to stick with the young guns for a minute here. We have a lovely tradition in Calgary that always comes around this time of year. Circle K Classic.
That's right.
Formerly known as the Max. We got a Calgary team in the final.
That's right.
CHA, Calgary International Hockey Academy out of the CSSHL. They're going to be taking on Shattuck St. Mary's, 3 p.m. January 1st at Max Bell. Unfortunate for fans that they're not going to see Maddox Schultz and the Regina Pat Canadians. This kid
is crazy.
Nuts. Not in the game against Nax earlier today, but 14 years old playing U18, 4 goals, 2 assists, including the game tying goal and the overtime winner to help the Pat Canadians come back for a playoff win over Pittsburgh.
And if you want to know why we're talking about this, because, people are going to be like, what's the Circle K Classic? It used to be the Max tournament. Now it's the Circle K. I mean, last year, the guy who we were all talking about was Landon DuPont. You might have heard of him. He sort of put himself on the map at this tournament, and now he's with the Everett Silvertips. And, we already know he's going to go first overall. That's how well he's playing in 3 years or whatever it is. Connor Zary led this tournament in scoring back in 2015.
Backlund was a star at this tournament. Parisi was here. Crosby was here.
Yeah, it's a great tournament. You should go tomorrow to Max Bell. It's a shame they don't do the final at the Saddledome anymore, but the Max Bell fills up really nice.
When I was in college, I got to do PA the year it would have been 2015,
nice.
The year that the Caribou Cougars won with Victoria Royals legend Griffin Outhouse in net.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I won't say the nickname the kids had for him.
But I can imagine.
He's good. No. He just won a national championship in U Sports with UNB. But those games are so fantastic. But one of my favorite things ever at Global during the pandemic, when I got to go through all the old tapes and digitize them, I found all the footage from when Peter Nedved defected from Czech, like full on Czechoslovakia. Like he gets up out of the place he's staying in the middle of the night with his bag and a dream, goes to a police station and says, I'm defecting. And we had footage. This was a huge news story at the time. So there's footage of him walking out of the police station, holding his stuff, smiling from ear to ear. There's footage of him practicing with the Calgary Canucks while they were waiting to figure out what to do with him. And he's like a foot taller than everybody with this red Jofa bucket. It's absolutely insane stuff to see. Like the Max and the Circle K Classic is an important part of hockey history in our community.
It's a huge, it is, I would go as far as to say, like the Circle K is to Calgary what the Brick tournament is to Edmonton. It's a little bit of a different age group, but the track record of incredible alumni is very similar, and it's a must-see event. There's a reason why all the Calgary media types are hanging around the Max Bell whenever the Flames aren't playing right now, because you can find these talented young players and just it's not even the ones who go to the NHL. If you are a fan of junior hockey, if you watch the Dub, or if you watch the BC or the AJ or whatever league you like, very good chance that the majority of the star players, the guys you pay to see, they play in this tournament. So it's something that scouts love, fans love, and the hockey community loves. So, sticking on the topic of young guys, there's one guy who I just want to signal out, or unless you have something.
I do have one thing.
Okay, go.
I know it's very strange that I have this, but I did an interview with Braden Yeager's parents last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he played at the Brick. And this is the picture. I don't know if it's going to show up. This is the picture his mom sent me.
I think you need to. Oh, look at that. Oh, isn't that great?
Look at the hair.
Oh, just poking out the bottom there.
For the Jets fans out there, baby Braden Yeager at the Brick Invitational. But go ahead, the player that you were hoping to single out.
I was going to talk about Henry Muse, who, a guy who, if we're going to continue on the theme of the young guys, I would not sort of write this guy off as a candidate for Team Canada next year with the way that he's playing right now. He's an 06, so he'll be one of the older players eligible, March 06. He should still be in the OHL next year. And wow, has he ever been on a heater lately? Flames 3rd round pick, 48 points in 34 games this season as a right-handed defender, 6'1", 183. So he's not, undersized per se. I think the Flames got a really good player out of this draft in the 3rd round. I mean, they got a lot of players who people are excited about, from Parekh to Gradin to Basha to Luke Misa, and I think Henry Muse deserves a lot more credit because, I think it's a long way from this, but the last time the Flames took a right shot defender with this size profile in the 3rd round who started putting up crazy points the year after he was drafted, he's currently with the New York Rangers. I'll just let you fill in the blanks on that one, but he's on a crazy trajectory right now. People need to keep their eyes open for this guy because I think the Flames should be trying to sign him as soon as they can.
Exciting stuff ahead.
Yeah.
Going to take the chance to shout out our buddy, Derek Newman, the Newman Group with CIR Realty. Buying or selling, you can let Derek do all the work for you. You can email him at dnewman@cirrealty.ca or call 403-619-6661. He does it all, the complimentary in-house staging consult. He's accountable and available. And whether you're buying for the first time or you've been in the game a while, he'll take the time to understand your goals. He'll do the pre-listing consult and help you every step of the way with the marketing plan and an analysis of other comparable homes in the market, and even find things that aren't on the market yet and go the extra mile to hunt down some options for you. So if you're interested in buying or selling your home in the greater Calgary area, call Derek at 403-619-6661, and he'll make it easy for you and let Derek put his network to work for you. We're going to wrap it up here fairly soon, folks. So if you have any resolutions you want to share, resolutions for you, resolutions for the Flames, thoughts, questions, and concerns, fire them down into the chat there, and Yasmin will star them for you. I'll actually look at the chat now that John's gone to bed, thank goodness. But is there anything else you wanted to touch on from the game tonight, Mike?
I mean, I know we had sort of discussed while we were watching the concept of doing just a brief sort of 2024 superlatives to close out the year. Most improved, that sort of stuff. I mean, for my money, the most improved player of 2024 for the Flames has got to be Matt Coronato. And I thought he had another really nice night. His line maybe didn't fare as well on the possession standpoint, but a couple of really good chances for him. He's shooting the puck. If only Huberdeau Sharangovich could start shooting the puck like that too. I mean, we know he can. Coronato, though, I mean, start to finish, January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, the improvement has just been phenomenal. And I would say, a close second would probably be Jonathan Huberdeau. And we talked about it earlier in the show. I mean, how well has he been playing? It's just been so much fun to watch. The first 2 years, it was not fun to watch Jonathan Huberdeau. I don't think it was fun for Jonathan Huberdeau to play for this team. It's been just so much fun to watch Huberdeau in December.
Hopefully the dad strength continues. And Coronato did have a great game. He rang a shot off the crossbar. He was hustling to get back to break up a 2-on-1 with DeBrusk and Miller. That was really great. We're going to do one more superlative. Mine will be most likely to succeed. And I'm going to pick one Dustin Wolf, who picked up another win tonight, 23 saves on 24 shots for a .958 save percentage.
Is Dustin Wolf the top goalie in the Pacific Division right now?
Oh,
there's a case to be made.
I
don't know if Demko would be there right now, though, because he's still, sort of struggling to get back.
A bit.
He hasn't had the greatest, bounce back since getting healthy. And I think there are concerns going forward, about the nature of Demko's injury, whether it's going to linger with him. I think I think Demko obviously has the pedigree. He's the most established. Right
you
now,
also
though,
haven't seen Wolf in the tougher situations. I was
that's true.
talking about it with Pinder on Barn Burner earlier today. Maybe it changes on this California back-to-back, but Dan Vladar is shouldering all of those awful second half back-to-back starts.
Right now, I don't think I'd have Wolf ahead of Lucas Dostal, who's been amazing in Anaheim and has, a much weaker defense in front of him. But he has sort of put himself into that conversation, I think. And at the same time, he's gotten a lot of starts at home. There are no easy games in this league. And I think you look at the opponents recently for Wolf, he's starting to get a lot of tough opponents. That's really starting to pick up. So I don't think it can be discounted just how well he has played. I mean, the Pacific has some really good goalies in it. I think you can write off Stuart Skinner, cough, cough. But aside from that, I think Wolf has done a very good job of putting himself into that conversation. I would, even the Calder conversation. I mean, I think it goes without saying that Celebrini is going to be number one. But I think Wolf's going to be a finalist, and he deserves to be because he's just chugged along the entire time.
Yep, a little more chatter down there in the chat. Concerns about the power play. Oh, goodness gracious, what has changed? 0 for 2 tonight. Yeah, they can't score on a 5-on-3, can't score on a 5-on-4.
I think.
How do we fix it at this point?
Right now, I would say to Yegor Sharangovich, just stand at the left circle. Do the Ovechkin thing, because when you're moving, I think the puck is just sort of hopping on you a bit too much. He is dealing with the worst run of shooting luck. It changed a little bit tonight. He got an assist. They got on the board. Before tonight, Yegor Sharangovich's on-ice shooting percentage was the lowest of any Flames skater since Tim Jackman in 2012. The Flames are scoring on roughly 3 of every 100 shots with him on the ice. So I think Sharangovich is, struggling to get back from injury. I think at the same time, it's a bit of a self-sustaining cycle where it's just not going in at all when he's on the ice. And so it just sort of fuels that lack of confidence. And I just think I think for him, it's just about keeping it simple, because I do think with the power play, he is one of the main keys to it. And I think if they can sort of just simplify his role, just say, shoot the puck whenever you touch it, I think they might find something there.
All right, let's take one last look at Bet365's matchups for tomorrow. World's largest sports betting platform. You can open an account today, bet on a huge range of markets using code NATION. Light day on the schedule tomorrow.
Yeah, just the one game.
Yeah.
New Jersey against the LA Kings. The Kings, of course, an upcoming opponent for the Flames. The Devils will probably have Jacob Markstrom between the pipes. He's been pretty good of late. So the Devils and the Kings, a couple teams who are relatively high in their respective division standings. I will not be watching this game, but it is certainly one where I would probably, I don't know where I would go on this one. I might go Kings just because they've been pretty good of late. But it's sort of a toss up for me.
Yep. Markstrom humming along right now, 19-3, 2.15 goals against average.
19-3.
19-3.
Holy moly!
Wait, sorry, that can't be right.
19-7-2. I think 3 shutouts.
Sorry.
3 shutouts.
Sorry. Yep. I'm looking at his actual NHL player page. I'm like, what? That's not right.
19-7-2, but that's still incredible.
Still 912 save percentage. That's good. Oh, that was a jump scare. That
19-3. That's a Cy Young. That's a Randy Johnson stat line right there. That's today it would be bet 366 actually. So get it? It's a leap year.
Is it?
Yeah, 2024 is a leap year.
Oh.
Today's the 366th day of the year.
Listen, man, I'm from BC. I don't understand daylight savings because we don't have it. I don't understand leap years, and frankly, I'm too old to learn now.
Today it's bet 366. They should have changed their logo just for today.
Right. You can take that up with them.
I will. Call me. Do your comms for you.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. Last Afterburner of 2024. Thanks for those who watched Barn Burner today. Get happier in the comments there. There's no rejects or losers here. We're all friends here in the chat and on Afterburner. And it was a boomer rated Pinder report. Frankly, I was expecting a little more. I'll keep thinking about the guy with the ice cream machine, though. This
is completely over my head. I have no idea what the heck this is referencing.
Don't watch it.
Okay.
Don't watch it. So, buddies, thank you so much. It means the world to us that you take the time to listen and shoot the shit with us. We're going to leave you with Mr. Ryan Lomberg and his rendition of Country Roads.
Take us home.
Yeah, take it home, Yasmin.
Here he is. Get used to this with Lomberg.
What a candid moment.
Love seeing the national anthem.
Could not be more loose and intense.
He doesn't hold a grudge.
Almost in the same moments.
Sorry, bud, I can't.
Thank you so much, guys. See you in 2025. Have a good night. Happy New Year.